Hey everyone, I need your attention for 1 minute. This is not one of those ads. This is something that has changed my entire life. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that this is all about personal development as the foundation for everything good in your life. And this podcast is now sponsored by Growth Day, which is the world's first all-in-one personal development app. I mean, oh my gosh, can you imagine having everything all in one place that you need to create the life that you want? Now you can. So if you've been struggling with your motivation, your mood, your productivity, or your purpose, you have to check this out. Growth Day helps you consciously change your life and achieve your potential. It has all the self-improvement tools, motivational classes, and life coaching all in one place. So many of us want to improve our lives, but the question is how? Where do we start? What do we use? How do you get unstuck? How do you make self-improvement stick? Well, research shows how. It's when you consistently journal, track your habits, set goals, learn from empowering mentors, and challenge yourself that you'll be happier, healthier, and more successful. But let me ask you something. Where do you actually do all of your personal development work? I have to tell you that over 300,000 people use Growth Day for a reason. It works. It's the world's #1 software for self-improvement. Growth Day has an amazing mindset journal that I absolutely love, a habit tracker, and a goal-setting system. In fact, I bet if you went to my stories this week, you probably saw me using the journaling app and telling you to do it too, because it's the first time that journaling has ever actually stuck consistently in my life because of this app. And best of all, Growth Day has live inspirational classes every single week from the world's top motivational speakers and life coaches. These are people who have impacted my life in huge ways. These are mentors who I already knew and loved. In fact, this is something that's so huge for me, you guys. I personally teach a class in Growth Day every single month, and it is one of the most fun things that I get to do, and I'd love to see you there. These classes will truly shift your life. There's always something new that you will learn. So join me and 300,000 achievers growing our lives with actual real intention. Visit growthday.com/Lori for a free trial. Yes, you can try this for free. So go to growthday.com/Lori and go live your best life. You guys, that's growthday.com/Lori. And I can't wait to see you there. Thanks to Issue for supporting Earn Your Happy. Create once and distribute everywhere. Everything is optimized to post on your website and social platforms. Get started with Issue today for free or sign up for a premium account and get 50% off at issue.com/podcast and use promo code Lori.
I find that the more I talk about my darkness and things I'm going through, and it connects me deeper to people, then it opens up a conversation where then I actually wake up in the morning with less anxiety, with less depression, because I'm more open about it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Earn Your Happy podcast. Happy holidays. It's the holiday season. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And it didn't used to be because I really didn't know how to go into the holiday season. I didn't have boundaries. I didn't have tough conversations. And we talk about this a lot on this show. And that is on how to really cope with some of the things that we are all coping with, whether it is anxiety, whether that is depression, whether that is overwhelm. And today I have the perfect guest on for anybody who is challenged this time of year. Karena Dawn. She is the co-founder of the leading women's fitness community, Tone It Up. She has empowered millions of women around the world to live their healthiest and happiest lives. And she is a New York Times bestselling author, and she recently published her debut memoir, The Big Silence, a daughter's memoir of mental illness and healing, a personal story of her mental health journey from crisis, addiction, and depression to a life of hope, healing, and happiness. In addition, she also launched her podcast called The Big Silence, where she holds open conversations with psychologists, spiritual leaders, wellness influencers, public figures, and offers thousands of listeners weekly guidance about important mental health topics. You guys, she's really taking these conversations that are, maybe you wouldn't be having, or maybe there's a lot of stigma or shame around them in the past. And we need to bring them to the surface because the only place they can heal is in the light. So you guys, we're going to be chatting all about her experience and her book. And I hope that you love it because she's just one of those, special people who is taking on a huge undertaking in order to get it out into the world. And if you're one of those people who's struggling this time of year, there are a lot of really great contacts that she shouts out and within the show notes. So let's get started. Karena, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. I was so looking forward to just hanging out with you.
I know. Isn't that the best part? I'm like, wait, we can record and hang out. I truly I had a few podcasts yesterday that were like that I was like, okay, we're going to take the first 15 minutes. We're just going to talk. We're going to catch up and then we'll hit record. So yeah, it's so much fun. And I love hearing about all the different things that are going on in your life that we are going to talk about, you guys. And it's fun for me with someone like you who is really multifaceted and multi-passionate. Because if I haven't seen you for 3 months or 6 months, I'm like, holy hell, you've started 3 different things. Tell me all about them and how I can be a part of them.
Same with you, though.
Same with me. It's the exact same with me. So I kind of want to, for anyone who has not heard about what you're up to right now, you've recently written a book, an amazing book, talking all about your journey and really bringing mental illness to the forefront, making it a regular conversation, helping a ton of people not feel shameful if they've ever dealt with it, if they have it themselves. I would love to just hear, when you're writing a book, it's typically because you want this message out in the world in a really big way. What was it like right before writing the book? Was it just like, why did this conversation have to come out right now for you?
Well, I always wanted to write a book, and only, I would say, for personal reasons, because the importance of journaling and it's all out there, putting it on the paper and being able to review it. So I grew up with a mother who was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia when I was about 12 years old. And towards the end of her life, she passed away in 2021. I was her caretaker along with my husband. And I just felt that it was finally, and this is actually 5 years ago. It took me 5 years to write this book because I thought she was going to pass away from this lifetime 5 years ago. And I just wanted to start getting it on paper. But the story wasn't over yet. And so growing up with a mom who is diagnosed with a mental illness and my whole journey of overcoming and becoming, the book was more of me expressing what I was going through, but then also being able to help others, because I realized the more that I speak about mental illness and mental health, the more that conversation is opened up. So my purpose has become to be a beacon to someone who is experiencing this themselves or a loved one, and realize that it's okay. It's the same as any other brain disease or cancer or something. So I don't know. I think my purpose, you know me from Tone It Up, Lori, we know each other since Miami back in the day.
So long. I think that was 2009.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in a fitness competition together, and that's where we first met.
Yep.
But no, just normalizing the conversation around.
Where do you think the stigma comes from? And what is one of the things that people can do, like the biggest takeaway from this, if they have somebody in their life who deals with mental illness, or themselves, if they know that they are dealing with it, like what is a way for them to make them realize it's something that should be talked about, I guess, frequently and get help around?
So first question, where does this stigma come from? It's our generation and growing up. And I'm 41 now, and growing up in the 90s, no one talked about it. It was shamed upon. And so that's when someone, I always say, like little Karena, reverted back into herself and created like a shield around her and shame. the stigma was because our society didn't want to talk about it. And it's a normal, absolutely normal thing. And then simple, talk about it. Talk about it. I was just talking to Lori before we went and started recording about two friends that are gone this week and didn't survive. One of them in particular, a very young man who didn't survive through his mental illness that he was through. And I think that opening up the conversation can really save lives. And so I started the Big Silence Foundation in honor of my mom, who never wanted to talk about it. And she actually got angry at me to even want to speak that she was diagnosed with schizophrenia, depression, narcissistic personality disorder, all of these things. And then on her last 2 days in hospice, she said, you know what? Okay. And I said, Mom, you're gonna change lives.
Oh my goodness, it's gonna make me cry. Is there ever a point, should people go to someone they know? Should they go to a therapist? Like, because sometimes when people want to start talking, maybe it's not received in the way, because that could make someone close up, right? If they go to somebody and they're like, oh, you shouldn't talk about it. I actually had a friend who, not about this particular thing, but about something else that I needed to talk about. And I remember her saying, well, don't talk about it and it goes away. And I remember like closing down for years around this particular topic, thinking that if we didn't talk about it, it would just go away. And I'm thinking of you as a little girl too, and maybe all of the different things that you did to even cope with having this conversation trapped inside of you. So my first one is, are there particular people that we should aim to go towards? And then what were you finding yourself doing because you weren't talking?
Anyone listening, don't talk about it. It goes away. It doesn't, because trauma is held in your body. But I believe that us as society, we are here to heal each other and walk each other through this process. It's not easy. It's not meant to be, and that's okay. And there will be the sad times and the happy times and the celebrations and the everything in between. Who do you talk to? Number one, a friend. Just reach out for help. Number two, a loved one. Number three, therapists. That's what there's therapy in the world. And actually, I'll throw this out here too. We have, through the Big Silence, if you text HERO, HERO, to 741-741, there's free 27 anonymous counselors that can help you. I think talking therapy is a beautiful thing. Have you been through therapy?
Not like the kind of therapy that I think like people would think of going and seeing your therapist all the time, but I feel like I've had more coaches and retreats around healing than I can count. And I've actually had probably someone, I've worked with Christine Hassler, who felt like definitely coach in therapy, who I was able to talk through a lot of different things. And she was like access to me through a lot of different parts of my life. So I guess I have had therapy.
Yeah, you have. Like, on so many different levels. Therapy could be meditating in nature in the morning. It can be actual like talk therapy, MDR. There's so many different forms of therapy, but I think it's so rewarding. And I remember back in my 20s, and I was dating someone before I met Bobby. And I told him I was going to a therapist. He was like, therapy is for crazy people. I'm like, no, I just need someone to talk to. So it's so important to normalize, whether it's a therapist, a coach, a psychologist, or anything.
It's crazy because I've lived in California for a long time, but when I'm from the middle of the country, and I will tell you, it's not necessarily a normal conversation yet in the middle of the country. It's not something that, I was even just in a big group of people the other day, and I was like, oh, it just made me remember this is not a normal conversation yet. And so having that number to even text and start there is a really big deal, because, when I go back to California, we're talking about it at dinner. People are talking about it in groups, but I come here and it's very like, no, we're still not sharing our shit. We're still like, we're fine. We're good. So it's interesting.
Why do you think that is? Because I'm from Indiana. My dad is a therapist, and
Yeah.
grew up with that. Although, Dad, if you're listening, I know you'll get annoyed. Like, he didn't see what was going on in our own household and what I was going through in my own situation.
Yeah.
But like, what is it like where you're at with your family and Chris's family?
I just don't think, and I'm in kind of a smaller town right now too. It's not a conversation that people are having here at work yet. They're not having it in friend groups yet. I think it's just not normalized yet. I don't think there's a lot of people here making it a normal thing. Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm not sure. There's parts of the country that just aren't necessarily talking about it. I think it's still like the very old school way of thinking of like, just you don't share that with people. And it's definitely obviously segmented. I'm sure there are groups here that are starting to do that. But in all the different places that we've been this week, I definitely find myself not necessarily even as open talking about certain things because it's very surfacey still, like very much like you're not really going deep or sharing a ton about yourself, which is really interesting.
I'm going to start interviewing you. I'm so interested in that too, because why? Because I find that the more I talk about my darkness and things I'm going through, and it connects me deeper to people, to those things. And then it opens up a conversation where then I actually wake up in the morning with less anxiety, with less depression, because I'm more open about it. And it's like, oh, me too. But then, okay, let's go to the gym and work out. Let's do something fun. Like, it transitions into, okay, we are human. So we have these emotions. We have this trauma. Generational trauma is a thing. And okay, well, we recognize it. We give it a name. How do we move forward? Instead of that surfacey that you were saying. Just saying, like, for anyone listening, just talk about it. Think about it. Like, I literally, in my years, and especially the past 5 years, the more I talk about it, the more joy, the more happiness, the more life I've found.
Okay, so my husband, Chris, was recently in a jam. He needed to send out a schedule and a bunch of information about some events he has coming up to a bunch of his high-end clients. And he didn't love the way that the schedule looked. He wanted it to look a lot better, really cool, really high-end. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, I think I have a fix for you. Let me go in and try to see if I can format this and make it look really pretty with Issue. And you guys, it totally worked. It looked incredible. We put it in a magazine format. Issue is the all-in-one platform to create and distribute beautiful digital content everywhere, from marketing materials to magazines to flipbooks and more. I can honestly say it's been a huge part of growing Light Pink. And Issue essentially takes a boring old PDF and turns it into a beautiful, engaging piece of content that can be distributed and formatted anywhere for anything. For example, we created our holiday gift guide and cocktail book that featured delicious light pink concoctions. And once we created the full books, we were then able to export them for Instagram and then for our email newsletter and then for Pinterest. It's amazing and so seamless, you guys. The best part is that Issue also works seamlessly with tools that you already use like Canva, Dropbox, and InDesign, and you can edit it very easily. Get started with Issue today for free, or if you sign up for a premium account, you're going to get 50% off when you go to issuu.com/podcast and use promo code Lori. That's issue, issuu.com/podcast, and use promo code Lori at checkout for your free account or 50% off your premium account. That's issue.com/podcast with promo code Lori. For me, when I've just shared some different things, it's definitely been in more of a safe group that I feel it will be not received necessarily, but at least reciprocated, like a form of reciprocative conversation, where I think that in the past, with certain people or certain people in my family, they haven't known how to react. So they kind of either shut down or change the subject. So I love that you're creating spaces with your Big Silence Foundation where people can actually have a conversation where it's someone listens, it's reciprocated. So you guys will definitely put that in the show notes for you. So tell me about when you were growing up, just your experience of kind of thinking that you had to hold it in, and what were some of the ways that was manifesting in your life? Because you weren't necessarily sharing about your mom to different people when you were young or how you were coping with it, were you?
No. So when I was young, say in high school or something, if I would share something, I would lose a lot of friends because no one was talking about mental illness. So my mother had, as a schizophrenic and in and out of the hospital and dealing with all of this, it was a lot of friends kind of backed off. So I wasn't sharing about it. And I went through the phase of, okay, let me just go to raves and do drugs and, hide from it all. And then I think I had this, aha moment, which I talk about it in the book, where after a 3-day bender, I woke up in a park or was still up or whatever. And I was like, something in my mind was saying, you are meant to be something better than
wow.
that. And this is early 20s, Karena. Something came over me. I'm a very persistent person. And thank goodness at that point, I decided to be persistent and wellness instead of doing negative things for myself. I made a change then, and that's where I got into fitness and triathlon, surfing. Instead of going to, if you read the book, instead of going to clubs in Hollywood, I would wake up and work out and train and surf and go in nature. And then from there, I ended up, building a big career in fitness and wellness, not only for the way that it makes you, I always say it's not a vanity thing. It's all about mental health with fitness. I mean, even to this day, this week has been really hard for me, and I'm a trainer, but I have a trainer. It's like therapists need therapists, trainers.
Yes.
And even yesterday, I was texting my trainer. I was like, I don't want to work out today. She's like, all you got to do is get in the car and drive. We'll sit on the couch at the gym, and that's an accomplishment. And then if you feel like it, we'll lift a weight. I'm like, okay, I can do that. And for you being, from the fitness industry as well, you can get that. It's like, you just have to show up. And I feel like so many people are, go on a tangent, but it's like an all or nothing mentality.
Yep.
And I think I've learned that even if you get halfway there, you're there. That's I'm like, okay, I'll go to the gym and I'll sit on the couch. Then I got up and I lifted those weights, and my ass is sore now, and I feel good, and then all those endorphins are going. It's all a journey.
I feel like that was a huge part of my journey, was trying to figure out the all or nothing thing, because it was so up and so down that in itself was such an emotional roller coaster for me. Like, so elated one day if I'm acting in accordance to this. Like, it was so contingent based about how I felt about myself and my life. If I showed up to the workout and did X, Y, and Z and ate this well today and did these things for work. And if I didn't, it was like I would just beat myself up to the point where it was like so extreme that I just needed to show up 1,000% every day. And I learned, unfortunately, not super quick, but in the grand scheme, I guess, quick, but it was so unsustainable. Like, it is the most unsustainable thing to like mean coach yourself, and to also have to be that quote unquote, like perfect with your schedule and your routine. Did you have like a realization with that, or were you that way as well? Or what did that look like? What did that journey look like for you?
I would believe in maybe in the beginning I'll tone it up. It was like, go, 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 all. But then the all or nothing stopped, and giving yourself the grace to be the in-between.
What did that look like for you? When you say give yourself the grace, like what did that conversation in your head look like in order to do that?
I think a lot of it comes from taking care of my mom and the stress around that, and the recognition of, I also, I was always like very fit, triathlon, fitness model, this, and wanting to be a daughter, and then taking care of my mom. And when I was taking care of my mom, I was like, oh, I'm going to have the perfect relationship with my mom. And then that didn't happen. And then I was like, oh, and then I was under a lot of stress and I gained weight, but then I'm a fitness superstar, and like everyone talking about that. And then I was like, you know what? One of my friend Amber actually mentioned, she, Amber, we were hiking one day and she's like, you know what? You're allowed to have seasons. I was like, oh, well, I don't know why that was like so mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm allowed to have seasons. I'm allowed to not be that beautiful flower every day. I'm allowed to be the leaves falling from the tree and then the rebirth. And a long time to just be, accept myself where I am in that moment, in career, in my marriage, in everything, to just, in my relationship with my mom, to just be. But in those times, also recognize and have gratitude for the fact that I'm even alive and I get to do this, and all the things that I've accomplished, not just career-wise. It's not all that in my life. And so.
Oh, I love that. I love that idea with the seasons. I definitely lean into that now, because when I find that there's something new, like how you said, I want to be right now, I want to work on my relationship with my mom, or maybe it's you want to work on your relationship with Bobby, or maybe it's your real estate investing and you really want to focus on that. There's only so much focus we can give to so many things. So I always think about like, okay, some things are going to give, like they're not going to be at 100%. And that is okay, because once this season is done, we're going to go back, we're going to assess, and we can give attention to what needs attention. And I just feel like when you're a person who is somebody, if you're listening and you're like, I get things done, like I can reach my goals, and maybe you're even a really high achiever or a hard driver, like you're not going to let those things fall by the wayside completely for the rest of your life. Like, I really do believe it's pretty much impossible for the people who like have, accomplished things or achieved things. Like, you're going to go back to it. So you don't necessarily need to stress out so much over that. Like, that's where I'm at in my life now. I'm like, that's okay. Just like you said, it's going to be a season. There's going to be time where if I want to get better over here, something's got to kind of give over here, because there's only a set amount of energy in a day. And it's like, giving your mom all of that time, especially something so emotional, there's going to be times in your life when certain things aren't going to be at the peak of what you want. I really watched my mother-in-law actually go through this when she took care of her mom, and she also took care of her husband's mom. And, it was a season where so many things that she wanted to do like fell by the wayside. And she literally had to say, this is where I'm at right now. Like, this is just a season of my life, and these things are going to come back, or we're going to do this when this is done, but I have to be here. It's accepting what is,
Yeah, I think that's really important. And even though, Bobby and I have had a rough couple days or year, I woke up this morning and we were in the kitchen, and I said, and Bobby was feeling really down, and I just screamed at the top of my lungs. It's like before our coffee this morning, I was like, Bobby, it's a great day to be alive. And he's like, huh? I'm like, say it. And I was like, it's a great day to be alive. And then he said it, and I was like, just set the intention.
Yeah.
Like, we're so fortunate here. I mean, not everyone's day looks the same, and their seasons are not the same, but when you can, just that recognition of like, wake up and say, it's a great day.
How do you go back to the challenging times and dig for the gold and find the gift? Is there things that you do in order to like really extract the lesson from the tough stuff?
I would say that I never regret the way that I was raised. Because I think there was a purpose in what happened to my mother, what happened to my grandfather was also schizophrenic and he committed suicide. And there's some reason that I have this like super hyper drive and passion to share the story, because it's a gift to learn through this of what happened to my mother, my grandfather, my family. And I feel fortunate. I wouldn't change a thing because I'm proud of the woman I became today. My only mission is to help others survive, know that it's okay, whether it's themselves or a loved one dealing with a mental illness, just that they're not alone, and that together as a community and in society that we can walk each other through this.
Oh, I love that. Before I move on to some other things, where can we get your book, and what's the best way to like really, if there's a loved one, if it is them, what's the best way to connect with you and the Big Silence Foundation?
You can get the book anywhere that books are sold. If you go to thebigsilence.com/memoir, I think is the right link. I'll make sure you have that.
Put it in the show notes. Thank you so much for coming on. And it was so much fun catching up, and we're going to do this in person, hopefully sometime. And you guys definitely go check out everything that we're putting in the show notes and give her a follow on Instagram. Like, the best thing that we can do for our guest is to let her know if this impacted you, if you're going to forward this to someone, and if you have any questions or anything like that. So what is your Instagram handle for them?
Karena Dawn.
At Karena Dawn, you guys go let her know what you thought of this episode and what your takeaway was. So thank you so much for coming on. And until next time, earn your happy. Bye, everyone. Want to know a huge secret to my success? Okay, not only my success, but just about every single person that I have interviewed on this podcast who is successful has this in common. You guys, they love to journal. They capture their life lessons and what they're grateful for. But a lot of people don't keep this up consistently. And most people do know that the research shows that journaling deepens your gratitude and increases self-awareness. But did you also know that journaling decreases stress and helps you achieve your goals faster? In fact, journaling is a huge differentiator between average performers at work and high-performing people. It leads to longer-term clarity, confidence, and success. So why don't more people journal? Why didn't I journal consistently? Honestly, they don't like staring at a blank page. It's hard to carry a book around with you or a notepad, and they just don't even know what to write about, or they just forget. That's why I know that you're going to love Growth Day. It's the world's #1 system for self-improvement, and it's like all-in-one personal development in an app. And it has an awesome digital journal, and people love it. Growth Day's digital journal has hundreds of research-backed writing prompts for self-reflection, positive mindset, confidence building, and success. I use them all the time, and it makes me think in ways that I typically don't, and it makes me ask myself better questions, which we all know gets better results in our life. It even has prompts that help you develop a daily, weekly, or monthly habit of reflecting on your life and identifying areas to grow. So it's a perfect time of year to start journaling, you guys. When you sign up at Growth Day, you also get systems for habit tracking, goal setting, and scoring, and improving every area of your life. Best of all, I get to teach there too, you guys. I'm so excited. I hope that I get to see you. I teach live in Growth Day every single month with a new topic just for you. So join me there. Start your free trial at growthday.com/Lori.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. And I want to make sure that you have my phone number, and I'm not kidding. Did you know that I have a community text number? For real. My phone number is 310-496-8363. This goes directly to my phone. All you have to do is text the word daily to 310-496-8363. And I literally text you every single day, Monday through Friday. I actually just got done 30 seconds ago texting a bunch of people back. And I talk to you all of the time. You guys, people always ask me how I got my community text number and how it works. Well, all you have to do is you can just go to community.com and get your own. Community makes it easy to get a phone number that you can use to build your audience using text. People just text you at your number and they're added to your group. Then you can text them out audios, video links, anything you want. You guys, I text out happy birthday videos. I love to send podcast links, thoughts about life, book recommendations, different events that I'm doing in the local area. Texting gets me out of the noise of social media and directly into your hand. And now you can start texting your people too. Just go to community.com to get your phone number. They give you a 10-digit real phone number, not those weird short codes that look like spam, but it's more than a phone number. Your new number comes with an inbox for SMS and texting. This means you can actually manage your text list from your computer and an app on your phone. You can schedule text to send at certain times and to certain groups. You can even set up auto replies or let your assistant or customer service team answer your text messages via Community's awesome dashboard. Just go to community.com and ask for a free demo. They'll show you how it works and get you your number. It's time to start texting your audience versus just posting on social media. Everyone uses Community for that. So go check them out at community.com. I can tell you it's not just great for communicating with my audience, but Chris and I use Community and our texts to also sell out our launches. I'm telling you, you get such an incredible response because you really are creating a true, deep sense of community. And it's so intimate. It's freaking amazing. Go check it out at community.com.